G'day guys and gal, we got some really interesting lore from the first Scouring book that turned everything we thought about the Chaos Gods upside down. Okay, that's a bit dramatic, but it was super interesting. Namely, that the Horus heresy wasn't just some fun little tee-hee game the Chaos Gods played out of boredom. They were all in, and when the Emperor slew Horus, the Chaos Gods had a really bad time, which resulted in all of Chaos having a bad time. Think about it, the traitor legions were pushing into the final loyalist stronghold. The Golden Throne was about to explode. There were demons everywhere. The warp had basically consumed Terra. Even with the arrival of Guilliman, that was one fleet and legion against multiple traitor legions. It should have still been in the traitors' favor, if not somewhat even. Instead, what we got was wholesale slaughter. Traitor Space Marine veterans fleeing in terror and being mowed down like pigs. So for the turnaround to be so dramatic, what actually happened when Horus died? Did the Chaos Gods themselves nearly die? Before we get started, guys and gal, I'm just gonna say it. Being ugly is a choice. For 99% of people, if you genuinely take care of your grooming, health, style, and hygiene, you will not be ugly. However, some of these things take a lot of time, effort, or money. So let's start with the low-hanging fruit. The easiest and highest impact thing you can do to cease your ugliness is skincare. So I partnered with Geology today to give you the cheat code to the best damn skincare products without obliterating your bank account. This was me at 21 before I started taking skincare seriously and using Geology. I had dark circles under my eyes, oily skin, blotchy discolored skin, was often puffy, and would get annoying acne. Now I'm 27 and I think my skin looks better. How? Well, Geology uses only science-backed stuff like niacinamide, retinols, salicylic acid, and more. If you don't know what any of those are, ask a girl or ChatGPT and they will validate the hell out of them. But how does this skin voodoo work? After all, us guys know skincare is good, but we are cavemen when it comes to knowing what to use. Geology understands this, so it simply asks you to fill out a quick survey, then bam, your very own custom skincare routine sent to your door. Geology also has an awesome range of body washes, shampoos, deodorants, pimple patches, and more. So to get a massive 80% off your custom skincare set, then use my link and code Majorkill80. Geology is also now on Amazon, so if that's how you like to shop, then there you go. I have a discount link for that as well. Cheers to Geology for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over the moment-by-moment events that occurred straight after Horus's death to truly understand the impact it had and why the Loyalists were able to turn a certain defeat into a crushing victory. Also, shout out to Alex Christie for the incredible thumbnail artwork for this video. You can download this artwork in full resolution for free on my Patreon. Link is below. Now let's get into it. First, we actually need to understand the absolute reversal that was the death of Horus. Like, it was wild. Imagine you're a trader, whether Space Marine or cultist or whatever. You've been fighting on Terra for months. It has been fucking grueling. Every meter of land you have claimed was paid for by the blood of thousands, but it's been worth it. Your moment of triumph. For you to be standing at this moment, you would have had to have killed many people, maybe even a Space Marine, maybe even a custodian. You would have bared witness to Primarch Jules, the birthplace of humanity, burn. Now the final gates of the Loyalists were crumbling. You feel unstoppable. There are demons the size of skyscrapers ripping spires apart. The Loyalists are few and barely holding on, attacked on all sides. This is it. This is nothing. It's over in a heartbeat. The moment Horus is slain by his father, which we'll cover in a bit, you instantly know you've lost. A psychic shockwave rips through across the soul system and instantly obliterates the warp as soon as it hits. I'm not talking like demons start fading and the warp begins receding. I'm talking one moment it's there, the next it isn't. The massive demons are instantly obliterated, as are their legions. If you're a demon host or a possessed marine, the demon within you instantly vanishes, leaving you hollow. All sorcery dries up completely. Like if you were magically flying at the time, you were just going to drop and splatter on the pavement. Now you may think that dozens of thousands of traitor marines with their millions of cultists could still finish the job without the warp. After all, they still outnumbered the Loyalists by a long shot, and usually yeah they could. However, pretty much all remaining traitors on Terra had drank a shitload of Chaos Kool-Aid. They were all bloated by the warp and were using it as a crutch. The berserk rage of the World Eaters was fueled by Khorne, the uncanny resistance of the Death Guard was fueled by Nurgle, and so on. Even those that had avoided Chaos gifts were still seeped in the warp without even realizing it. So when that shockwave hit, the traitors were literally kicked in the balls with the force of 1,000 suns. In an instant, their morale broke as they knew Horus had died. They all became exhausted, their will to fight evaporated. They were basically having the mother of all come-downs that hit them instantly, going from 1,000% to negative 100% in a single moment. For the Loyalists, it was the opposite. The withdrawal of the warp gave them strength, as did the relighting of the Astronomicon. So whilst the defenders sallied forward and vented their wrath upon the traitors, butchering them like pigs, the Ultramarines also arrived in orbit and began drop-potting in and brutalizing the traitors from the rear. It was the mother of all spit roasts, and boy was it glorious. All the traders could think about was escape and survival. They were all shocked and didn't quite understand how the reversal could be so sudden and brutal. All they knew is it happened. If you want to know why chaos seemed like a non-factor for the galaxy for almost 10,000 years after the heresy, it's because of this brutalization of their legions, followed by the equally brutal scouring. Okay, so that's the effect Horus's death had on the legions and why the counterattack of the loyalists was so brutal and effective. However, what impact did Horus's death have on the warp and chaos itself? Did it actually almost kill the chaos gods? Well, yeah. See, the chaos gods really wanted to cuck the emperor, as he was the only entity in the galaxy at that time that could threaten them, so they had to risk it for the biscuit. They couldn't manifest in real space properly, no matter how warpy it got, so they had to infuse Horus with a huge chunk of their power, enough power to be able to defeat the emperor. Now, the Primarchs are strong, however, every time the emperor has gone up against them, it's been laughably one-sided. He knocked Lehman out with a single punch, he forced Lorgar and his entire legion to kneel, he knocked out Angron with a single thought. Primarchs were honestly child's play for him, so for Chaos to empower Horus to a point where he was notably more powerful than the emperor took an insane amount of investment. However, despite all this investment, Horus still possessed a will of his own, a will the emperor used to trick Horus into temporarily releasing the power Chaos gave him. Now, the Chaos gods took this as an insult and wanted to let the emperor teach Horus a lesson before they gave Horus their power back and allowed him to finish the job. However, they then realized the emperor had the Athame, the only weapon that could kill Horus, and cuck them. So in a panic, they tried to flood Horus with their power again. It was during this panicked moment that the emperor plunged the stone Athame knife into Horus and slew him, causing emotional damage to Chaos as they were completely vulnerable and blindsided. Honestly, it couldn't have been a worse time for Horus to die. The damage to Chaos was insane. The gods were banished screaming back to the warp, so wounded that most people, including their followers, believed them to be dead. The blowback was so intense that all warp activity instantly ceased, including normal psychic powers from librarians, even loyalist ones. There are large chunks of the book which detail and go about the various attempts to summon demons or use warp powers. The most we see is a loyalist librarian summoning a small spat of lightning during an intense moment, and he was actually one of the most powerful psychics in the galaxy at the time, and a group of wordbearers managed to summon one small pathetic demon through great effort, who basically tells them that Chaos has been cucked and needs time to heal. There is actually a big subplot about how the traders want to try show the loyalists that Chaos still lives, so that the loyalists will viciously hunt them, thus feeding the warp with their hatred and healing the Chaos gods faster. Ironically showing that the best method for dealing with Chaos is to just basically ignore it. Man, the Emperor may actually have been pretty on the money there. However, what other things occurred when Horus died, since now we know what happened to the traders on Terra as well as the Chaos gods? Well, mere moments after Horus died, the Emperor's mighty will finally gave out and he collapsed, literally holding himself together for this final act to save mankind. Now, there is actually a good chance he would have somewhat regenerated, even despite many parts of him being permanently destroyed. However, he was almost immediately placed upon the golden throne, which began frying his balls. This scene was actually pretty sad. The Emperor knew that he had to sit on the golden throne, but he also knew this would damn him to an eternity of torment. It's kind of like the scene where Dumbledore was with Harry hunting for the Horcruxes, and Dumbledore drank the disgusting water, knowing he had to do it, but was begging Harry to let him stop. The Emperor knew he had to do it, but he knew he was going to have a terrible time. So the Emperor told Rogel to take him to the throne, but when they got there, the Emperor tried to pull away, Rogel remarking he had never seen horror and fear like this on his father's face until then. Now, the traders had actually taken pretty much all the planets in the solar system, and funnily enough, the traders that did not step foot on Terra maintained their sanity and will, as when the warp shockwave hit, they didn't have anything really to lose. The retaking of Luna was especially difficult for the loyalists, as the warriors defending it weren't chaos sluts or raving madmen, but disciplined sons of Horus, men with nothing to lose and whose only purpose was to inflict maximum damage, and boy did they do some damage. Likewise, Mars was going to be a tough nut to crack, although I wonder how much of their corrupted systems would have been wiped out when the Chaos Gods got licked. It does seem like the next scouring book will focus on Mars, with the loyalist Primarchs keen to get involved. Now, something really interesting was another side plot involving the Iron Warriors and the Wordbearers. A group of Iron Warriors and Wordbearers that escaped Terra landed on a moon in the Sol system that still seemed to be able to maintain some warp presence via mass sacrifice rituals and suffering. The Wordbearers wanted to bait the loyalists to this moon, show them that Chaos still existed, which would then force the loyalists to hunt down the traitors. The Iron Warriors didn't want that to happen as they wanted to live, and they started to think Chaos was actually pretty gay. See, there was a huge division within the loyalist Primarchs. Rogel wanted to hunt the traitors, which is what Chaos wanted. Gilliman wanted to consolidate and rebuild, which is what Chaos didn't want. So Chaos wanted to show itself and force people to side with Rogel. Then something unexpected happened. The Wordbearer moon was attacked. However, it was attacked by Perturabo, who wiped them out, then literally smooth paved the entire moon so that nothing remained. It was done in a way that said, yes, there was something here, now it is gone, lig my balls, Rogel Dawn. Probably the most Perturabo thing to do imaginable. See, Purdy didn't want Chaos to recover too quickly. He decided he was going to master it and make it his bitch, and he wanted to do it on his own time frame. So what actually happened when Horus died? Chaos copped the biggest kick to its balls it's had in over 60 million years. The Emperor seriously fucked them up, up, which is nice to know as it did feel like, for a while, that the Emperor was a raging empire against an inevitable darkness. But nah, fuck that, the Emperor spanked that darkness hard. Whoopsh. It also explains why in the current setting he seems to be just as powerful as them, if not more so. The dude was a Chad in life and is a monstrous tormented god in death, both of which are generally considered to be quite good at being anti-chaos. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Iron Morlock. This is the special major mini launch I'm doing in collaboration with the Remembrancer to help him recoup lost revenue from YouTube screwing him over. 50% of the profit goes to him, and you legends have already made him thousands of dollars, so let's keep it up. Hit the subscribe button, hit the real subscribe button for more shit content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.